Who would ever want to welcome more suffering and difficulty into their lives? We all normally want to live lives of happiness, peace, tranquility, and abundance, right? But at the same time, if you've been drawn to the spiritual path, the chances are that some form of suffering and difficulty has propelled you deeper into your spiritual journey. What I'm going to talk about here is a combination of what I feel I have learned on my Self-Realization Fellowship spiritual journey, what I have experienced within my own life, along with what I believe could be true too. When you look back on your life, and you specifically look at the most difficult, painful, and challenging moments of your life, haven't they then led you on to something even better? Or they've helped to transform you into becoming an even deeper spiritual individual? This is what these kinds of experiences can do to help us to transform our lives. I can definitely speak from personal experience on this one. I was chugging along through life, experiencing difficult times as well as good, abundant times like so many others. And then in 1994, a series of events happened simultaneously that completely leveled me and brought me to my knees. I began going through divorce, and right in the middle of this, my father died, leaving me to take care of my mother with Alzheimer's disease and my sister with schizophrenia. In addition to this, I moved and I changed jobs. So immediately my life was completely thrown into chaos and devastation. I remember taking a written test at that time to determine the level of stress that I was experiencing when taking into consideration all of these things that were happening simultaneously. And the results of the test told me that I had a 90% chance of developing a serious physical illness from all that I was going through. But fortunately for me, all that happened was I developed this big wart on my cheek that was a real pain to finally get to go away. And I have to admit that had this tremendous loss and devastation not happened to me, I probably would have just continued on with my life, just trying to make a living and build some net worth, while not being greatly drawn to transforming myself spiritually. So in many ways, I think that God was whacking me right on the side of the head and telling me that it was time. And I now look back on this experience as being the most important one of my life, for it led me to completely transform myself and begin to move closer to God. With this in mind, I believe we should embrace the suffering, difficulty, and sorrow in our lives, because oftentimes it will move us towards seeking a closer relationship with God. And I can definitely say that my relationship with God right now and my feeling of oneness with Him is much more valuable, fulfilling, important, and powerful than anything I could have accomplished by staying focused mainly on gaining more and more material wealth and possessions. As I heard Brother Chidananda say one time during one of his lectures, there comes a moment in time in the evolution of every soul when the soul realizes that there are no material goals and that there are only spiritual ones, and this is the place that I feel I have now transitioned into on my spiritual journey. But my former self would call me a total idiot for feeling this way. Then again, my former self was nowhere near as happy and fulfilled as I am today. There's a well-known verse within the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke in the New Testament telling us that it is easier for the camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. With this in mind, when people are rich, they may not oftentimes seek to get closer to God because of the material comfort they continually experience within their lives. So when this is true for them, they may not have done the work necessary within this lifetime to no longer need to reincarnate again. So rather than become one with God for all eternity and truly enter His kingdom at the end of this physical lifetime, they will come back and reincarnate again to live one or more additional lifetimes. But for people who experience more difficulty during their lifetime, they can oftentimes then be drawn closer to God, seeking help with dealing with the difficulty they are continually experiencing, and then they may learn to do what is necessary to then become united with God and then never have to reincarnate again. But when people feel relatively comfortable in life, they may choose not to seek God, and therefore prolong the amount of time it may take them to become liberated and to become one with Him. So in my opinion, facing great difficulty in life can become a tremendous catalyst to propel one closer to God, and this is what I have definitely experienced within my own life too. So those horrible experiences that I went through back in 1994 were the catalyst, and planted the seeds and determination for me to then grow, transform my spiritual life, and become closer to God. And when you look back upon your own lifetime, you may find that the difficulties you have experienced have helped to propel you closer to God too. So in putting all of this together, including the pain that I've experienced on my journey and how it has propelled me to become closer to God, I now love the person that I have become. I love my relationship with God, and I am thrilled that these difficult experiences have led me to follow the Self-Realization Fellowship path, as the teachings, writings, meditations, lessons, and videos have helped me to greatly transform my life, and for this I am eternally grateful.